All right, my name is Nirav Shah. This is one place where I'm going to call out Doug. So this is where Doug got it wrong. He had the warm-up act go after the main act. This is wrong. So when I actually met Matt, Doug introduced us, said, hey, you both are speaking on the same day. I met with him and then immediately had this realization saying, this is years and years of research and expertise. And here I'm this new guy here going to show up and speak at the same time as him. So I reached out, I said, can you change the damn order? He didn't listen apparently. So I have some notes here. The reason I have some notes is I wasn't going to have a lot of notes and then I realized there is a camera here. Usually I don't prepare for presentation. I just show up. I prepared this slide over the weekend. I'm a very procrastinating person. So my son tells me procrastination leads nation is what he tells me. So I waited till Sunday and I prepared this slide and then I'm like, I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to wing it, right? And then I come here and I see the damn camera in front of me. Okay? And then right in the parking lot, I run into people I work with. And I'm like, man, everything is recorded for quality and training purpose. They're going to take this back home. So then I decided, okay, I got to write down notes of what not to say. Okay, so this is why I have the notes, not what to say, what not to say. Okay, I am going to, something else I want to say, make sure is, yes, I auditioned for this 5 years ago, if you remember. 5 years ago, he invited me during 2020 pandemic, and I did this virtually. It took 5 years before he gave me the main show. Okay, 5 years, Doug, so thank you, appreciate it. So, little bit about me. I'm the Chief Digital Information Officer here at MISO. It's 8 minutes walk because I put it on GPS and it said you need to walk there 8 minutes. I still took my car. 8-minute walk from here. Today is my 1-year anniversary at MISO. So I joined on May 13th. Yeah, so thank you, thank you. I'm proud as well. I did not think I would make it. So I told our CEO yesterday. So I had a meeting with him and I told him I didn't think I would make it. So appreciate all the support from MISO who gave me. Before that, 6.5 years, I was at Republic Airways. Matt Bellinger, who spoke, is now currently the CIO there. Him and I have a rule, we will not talk about each other. That's why he left at 9 o'clock. 6.5 years, 6 months at One America, and I grew up at Interactive Intelligence here in town, 10 plus years. I was a senior software engineer, became vice president of IT, so I really tell that's where I grew up. There was a company in Springfield, Missouri, Paperwise, document management, workflow management company. That was my first job out of college. Okay, I did a couple of masters, huge Kansas City Chiefs fan, Buffalo Bills, sorry. Kansas City Chiefs fan. I have done few education things, but not as expert as Matt. I almost feel like as he was speaking and talking about the books and his research, I'm like, man, he's going to grade me at the end of this presentation. Like, I almost feel like this is a thesis dissertation that I'm doing here. I don't have that much experience. The important thing I want to call out on this slide is I don't have that much leadership experience. And I am the product version 1.0, so there's a lot of work to be done. I would hope as we go through this presentation, we have some discussions. If you have ideas that you have done that has worked in your place or ideas that have not worked, I think it's important we share in this room. None of us are expert, as Matt said, none of us are expert. We are not a final product here, right? We all are either work of product process. So the more we share in this kind of room, I think the more we can learn from each other, okay? Just because I'm standing here, I've been asked by Doug to do this, does not make me expert in any way, okay? Many of you would have known this. This was a German psychologist, Karl Duncker. In 1930, he ran this social experiment, okay? The experiment is very easy. He called a lot of people and said, I'm going to give you a bunch of thumbtacks, I'm going to give you a candle, and I'm going to give you a matchbox. And the goal of this exercise is you are going to put this candle on the wall such a way that the wax does not drip on the table. Very easy. Like, you've got 3 things, figure it out, right? And a lot of people are trying, like they're trying to melt the wax, they're going to try to put it on they use thumbtacks to put on the candle, right? But everything they do, the wax would fall on the table. They would never be successful. What happened was, this was actually the solution, right? The phenomenon I'm trying to explain here is functional fixedness. We believe that the instruction given to us were 3 things, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to use those 3 things to figure these things out. So we have this functional fixed mind, that's all we think about. We forget that there's a thumbtack box, right? That could be used to solve this puzzle. This is the creative thinking that we often miss because we are functionally fixed on that one thing. Later on, there's a professor in Princeton, what he did was, a few years afterwards, what he did was, he actually divided two groups. If I divide this group into two, group here, group two, right? And he said the same experiment, but he told them that one group I'm going to measure based on just metrics. How long it took you to figure it out, how many thumbtacks you used. So I'm just going to write down the metrics, right? The other group, he said, I'm going to incentivize you. The faster you do, I'm going to pay you more money. Okay, and by the way, not only that, the person on your team that figures it out the fastest, I'll even give them more bonus, more compensation, right? Believe it or not, the group that was not incentivized performed better in that situation. So, as Matt said, in some areas, I feel, and I was going to use the word leader because that's what I used a lot. And then when I talked to him, I'm like, man, I'm not going to use leader because my whole definition of leadership is wrong, I guess. So then in my presentation, I started changing the words to management, right? But the idea is we believe, and we are still practicing the same management style that we learned years ago, which is give incentive. When people are not performing, give them incentive, more money, more bonuses, give them a title, promote them to something else, and we probably buy 2 years, 3 years out of that. Like that's the concept. We are functionally fixed on that one single theory, one single logic. I'll give another example here. This is the blood donation, right? So we all have seen this. Many of us do a blood donation. Why do we do this? Right? We have never seen, like we drive around and we see this cash for gold, cash for check. I've never seen cash for blood. Like, has anyone seen that? Never seen that. But why do we still go and do this? There is something that is making us do this, right? There was a research done, actually, National Institute of Health actually has an article, I have a link there. They did a lot of research on this, and they said that there was a group, they used to come and donate blood almost frequently, monthly, okay? They went to the same group, and after maybe a few years, they said, hey, you guys are doing this regularly. Thank you for that. Moving forward, we want to incentivize you. So they started giving them gift cards or money and just thanking them, right? Okay, they never asked for it. They started giving them. The enrollment dropped. The same people that were showing up to donate blood went down because we took something away from them. So they went back to them and said, why did you stop showing? And they said, the reason is we were not doing it for money. We had certain values and principles that we did not want it to break. And you brought money or you brought something in the picture, a gift card, and we felt violated. It went down. Not only that, now I'm not saying that money or extrinsic motivation, as we call, are not important. They're absolutely critical, okay? And I think something we need to take care of as table stakes. Make sure you pay your people fairly, make sure they have the right role, the right title, absolutely, right? But you can't just keep focusing on that. In this example, I also believe there are certain countries where blood donation is not as high as it needs to be. There are certain countries where the need for the blood is a lot higher as compared to what they receive. And you have to incentivize using money. I do understand that, right? I'm not trying to say this is wrong. And those countries specifically does have those boards saying cash for blood. I get the point. But what happened in that research, and if you read this research article, you will find out that the quality of blood got impacted. Why? Because people started lying. People did not disclose the health issues they had because they were getting cash for blood. So in this situation, extrinsic motivation like money resulted into behaviors that you actually did not want it, right? So that's why I thought I should focus a little bit about intrinsic motivation. With my time at MISO, I was obviously making some changes. And there was MISO is a company where they don't make a lot of changes. And obviously somebody like me going there and start making some changes, it ruffles some feathers. And I was like, I don't want to be in this old practice of just giving money or promotion or moving people around. Like I need to intrinsically motivate my team here because there's a bigger purpose, there's a bigger mission here. So I started researching at that time. If anyone knows Doug, he keeps pestering you about what's the topic. And actually the day he asked me the topic, I was reading an article about this. I'm like, you know what, I'll talk about intrinsic motivation. So that's how I came to this point, by the way. So the point I'm trying to make in those two examples is sometime extrinsic motivation can give you a behavior that you don't want. It would reduce quantity in this example. It would reduce quality in this example. It will inspire people to do things they shouldn't be doing in a wrong way. At the same time, doing extrinsic motivation and just thinking linearly about one single way of doing it would mean that you are actually so functionally fixed about just what's in front of you. Okay? Excuse me. This is an IT group, so I had to bring a Gartner slide. I learned very quickly that if you don't talk about Gartner, you are not in IT. Okay? So that's why I had to bring it. This is true. This is from November, December 2024 research from Gartner. 25% of our employees globally are currently engaged. That's a big problem. Imagine 75% of our workforce is not actively engaged at work. Okay? On top of it, these are things, right? I mean, these are real things. When I started thinking about team and my team at MISO in my 6 months tenure, I started thinking about all these changes that were happening. I was pushing organizational changes, right? MISO was right at when I joined. MISO had a policy about return to office, and I know many of the companies are still having those policies. They all were comfortable. At 2020, remember when I did this presentation last time, 2020, everybody was going home, and it was a change. They were all trying to adjust. You know, Doug called me like, hey, we can't do this in person anymore. Can you do it virtually? All of us were trying to adjust. It was a change. We're going through the same change again, now saying, come back home, come back to work, right? There is political unrest, there is wars, tariff, conventional, like all of this is going in people's mind, right? And we believe if we start giving them more money and titles, they're going to stay with us. We're going to have retention. They're going to very much engage. They're going to be happy. They're going to love come to work. That's not, I mean, we don't understand what goes in people's mind behind of the scene. And when you combine that with everything that's happening to them from our side, and we only use one single mechanism to motivate them, you're not going to get engagement, right? On top of it, like as data proves here, if you focus truly on what motivates people, in a long run, you're going to get a much higher intentions to say retention. You're going to get a very high performer. You're going to get good innovators out of it. So, sorry. So let's talk about this. You touched very well, Matt, earlier, but management, in my opinion, again, this was leadership, and then I talked to Matt and changed it to management. Management, in my opinion, is created. Years ago, somebody decided to create management, right? It's not something that just came off the ground. It's not something God created. Human created management. Years ago, right? We decided to start industrialization. We decided to do work. So many people were working. How do we tell them what to do? How do we not tell them what not to do? All those guidelines. So we said, let's create hierarchy. You are going to, 7 people, you're going to report to this person, right? So we created management. And everything else in our life that has been created has received upgrades. Management never received upgrade. We still believe in the same thing. We still go on the job and we still have hierarchy. And you know, even before I joined MISO, I said, hey, can you share me the team? And they gave me an entire org structure. I'm like, this is like, that's it. That's the natural way of management. We always think about that. You know, the business operating model has changed. But we still use the same carrot and stick approach. Everyone talk about, just punish them or write a guideline about so they don't do this again. That's the stick approach. Or give them more money. They did an excellent job. Or give them a gift card. That's the whole traditional mindset we have, right? I will say, I'm going to tell you one thing. So you go back to the candle problem, right? The same problem was changed. And instead of giving them the thumbtack inside the box, what they did was they gave them a box. The same things were given, but box was moved outside, the thumbtack moved outside, and they gave it. And you know what? The group that were incentivized, they did it in matter of seconds, like matter of seconds. They kicked the butt of the other group that were metrics driven, because the metrics driven were stuck in like, oh, how many thumbtacks do we use? What are the least number of, right? But this guy, as soon as we gave them clear instructions, and we took the thumbtacks out and gave them 4 different things, they solved it in a matter. What tells me is that in that situation, if there are simple, well-defined tasks, extrinsic motivation could work, right? In IT world, the number of tickets you can close today, and if I'm going to motivate you based on that, it will work fantastically. You would actually be motivated to close more tickets, okay? There are repeatable tasks, there are short-term tasks. Those are things that you can use extrinsic motivation to. But when it comes to creativity, can you use that? So the first example was using both sides of your brain because the thumbtacks were inside the box. And when the creativity came in, extrinsic motivation was definitely not the driver. The other team performed well. When you make it very simple task, extrinsic started playing a role. So there are places for extrinsic motivation, and it absolutely will do great. But it's these kind of repeatable tasks. Let's go to AI. These are the tasks that are going to be replaced first by AI, if not already. That's the one, right? So we are extrinsically motivate people to do tasks that we believe is going to be replaced, if not already, right? That's not right. It's not one size fit all at all. Motivation is not one size fit all. We all in this room, I can guarantee you, we all have different motivational driver. We all. Now we all have certain, I mean, we pretty much have most of this common drivers, but there is one that would be much superior for me today than it would be for Mike or it would be for Doug, right? So it changed, and then it also evolves over time. Motivation that I had when I was 22 is very different than I have when I'm 28, and then when I was 40, right? So it changes over time as well. It's not a one size fit all. It's not like, oh, I know this person only likes this, so I'm going to keep doing this for the next 10 years, 15 years, that person works for me. That does not how it works. And then the traditional, so I mentioned this point earlier, traditional reward system, usually I've seen it so many times, this stifles creativity and innovation. It might be good for a short-term perspective. Sometimes you need an energy, sometimes you need a booster shot, and I think it's good for those. But on a long run, if you really want to win a marathon, I think you need to focus on something beyond extrinsic motivation. So I put together a quick framework that I personally believe a lot. There are many more motivational aspects, many characteristics for intrinsic internal motivation. But I picked on this 6 because I only had 30 minutes, and I feel they are much relative in today's world. So these are my 6 things to focus on: autonomy, safety, purpose, inclusion, recognition, and excellence, right? So the secret to high-performing team is those unseen intrinsic drivers. Okay, remember that. I'll talk about each of those very quickly, and then maybe we can have a quick discussion. If anybody has any cases where they have seen one of these work very well, please share. So autonomy, right? What is autonomy? It's giving us the freedom, right? It's giving us the freedom. We all are adult. We all have learned. We all have grown through life, and we all know what to do, right? Do not micromanage. Do not give us instructions at every second of what we do, right? I'll be very example, and this is the part that I was not. It says do not say, but I'll probably say it because I trust the folks at MISO. But MISO was trying to get me when I was Republic for around 2 years, and I kept on saying no, for various reasons, right? Then one day I decided to meet the CEO for dinner at that time, and when I sat with him and we talked about it, and he looked at me and said, Nirav, what is one thing you need? And I said, autonomy. Do not get in my business. Like, if you're going to bring me as a leader of an IT department, let me do it. If I fail, I would much rather leave MISO knowing I failed on my dime, not because my hands were tied behind the back. This was a key thing for me, absolutely key. And we did that. I mean, we did talk about it, and I think I can tell you right now, at 1 year point, I have been very much given that. The top portion of this, on all the next 6 slides, you're going to see the research that I've done a little bit. And it talks about if you give people the autonomy at any layers in the organization, you're going to see a 5.2% increase in their productivity, 31% increase in their positivity, the mood they bring in, right? When we are happy, when we come to work with a positive mindset, we're going to do our best work. Whether it's at work, in personal life, whatever we do, right? 2.3 times likely to achieve outstanding performance. This is according to Gartner, and 1.6 times they are likely to remain in the organization. It's much higher, right? If you give them just autonomy, right? And then if you give them more decision-making power, all the challenges we talked earlier, you've seen an anxiety level drop by almost 44%. What you see here is a fuel and a friction in this example. This would be things that we would want to do, things we should continue doing as management to give people more autonomy. And the friction are the things we should stop doing, okay? Trust from management. Obviously, we got to trust our people, right? There's a firm belief. I'm a firm believer of this. Many of you I know have heard this. Hire people who are smarter than you are and get out of their way, okay? I think most of the people, they kind of do the first part. I think they want to bring the people who are smarter than them. The second part is the hardest thing to you. They do not get out of their way. They just do not, okay? Coaching and not controlling. Do not go overarching. Do not start controlling every instruction, right? Create a supportive culture. What I'm trying to say there is, we talk about fail fast or fail forward, or don't have a fear of failure. That's create a culture where people are not afraid to experiment. And if they fail, they fail. They see that. You cannot punish somebody with a failure, because you might be punishing one person, but you are actually killing the culture of the organization. The entire organization, whether it's 1,000 people or 10,000 people, they all know what happened to that one person who failed, and now they are not going to take any more risk. You just took the autonomy out from the other 999 employees you have or more. And then obviously, you've got to have skills and competencies. This goes to the first part. Hire people who are smarter than you. Hire people based on skills. Hire people based on competency, and then get out of the way. I'm not going to speak on every single bullet points. A lot of times I've seen companies with very, very prescriptive policies. Okay? Somebody makes a mistake, let's add that to the policy so they cannot do that again. When you start doing that, right, every time you add a paragraph to a policy, remember you are taking autonomy away from something. You're taking, every time you add a policy. The companies that have the largest policy document should really question, like, is it truly, are you giving every employee the autonomy they need? Why do you have a 300-page this? Because I have to give it to ChatGPT and ask, can I do this or can I not do this? Nobody's going to read those. Okay? Excessive hierarchies, we all understand. Centralized decision making. This, what I'm trying to say that is, decision making is good, but if you centralized in just few folks who are going to make that, now you're just going to say that these are the few, this table is the most important table here in this entire group, because you four are going to make every decision. Worst is if these four are top the food chain and they're the top in the hierarchy, you just took autonomy out. You just said 4 leaders, the 4 VPs in this table are the decision maker for everything we do here. So be in control. Here's an idea. Here's one idea I'll tell you if you want to practice it when you go back to your jobs. This is again an IT group, so we all know what zero security is. This is another Gartner buzzword that came 7 years ago or so. Zero security is, in the old days of security, I'll give you access and I'll take some things away that you shouldn't have access to. In the zero security world, it says that, hey, I'm going to not trust you at all. And things that you need access to, I'll give you one at a time. I think in autonomy, as leaders, we can do something that is in zero security in our world, which is zero control. What I mean by that is when you have a project or when you have an assignment where you're giving it to somebody, rather than saying, hey, I want you to make this decision, reverse it. You're going to say, I'm going to have zero control on this. I'm going to give you entire control. Let's put together a table, a column which says you will probably do all this decision, and then let's have a discussion, and maybe 1 or 2, I should take it back to me. But everything else goes to you. Rather than saying, this is all me and I'm going to give you 2 to do, give them everything and take 2 back. Just change the way you think about it, and they will feel much, much better about it. So anybody wants to chime in on autonomy before I move on? Good? All right. Safety. This is very much in line with what I talked on the earlier slide. So people are nervous. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of anxiety in the world. Tariff wars. We wake up in the morning and things changes, political, non-political, whatever, right? In that situation, our employees absolutely need safety. They need sureness. They need certainty. They know that they have a future in the organization, present and tomorrow, right? Now, I understand that might not be true in many cases. I have made changes at MISO, and I think it's important that we be very honest when we are going to make that change. If somebody is not going to be part of their journey, you've got to tell them as well, like, hey, I see this, the leadership change here, my vision is going down this direction. Maybe when you signed up for MISO or when you signed up for Republic Airways, your thoughts were different, it's gone, but let's work out something together so it's good for you, it's good for both parties, right? Be human about it. So, but give them, even in that situation, you can still give them safety as they leave, right? Forget about the people who are with you. They are the first one you should be giving safety, right? So that it goes back to frequent communication with your people, clear direction and expectations. Every time I've done town hall, I would stand and I would probably tell them, here's my expectations, here's where we are going. Change is the only constant. Like do not say something in a town hall and then go back and behind the scenes say, here are the 4 people I don't rate, or here are the 5 people I don't want to give any more clarity about what they would be doing. Okay. On this side, I would say, this is a key here, unmanaged change. I've learned it. I think there are pockets I've seen they've done a fantastic job, and there are pockets they just don't manage it. They don't like. Leadership do not like to go in the front and talk about change. And even if they do talk about change, I've often seen them, they would probably talk about why or what part of the change. They rarely talk about how are we going to bring the change. And the one thing I've seen leaders never do is to admit pain. We have some kind of an ego. So when we stand in front of the room, we don't want to say, hey, we're going to bring this change, and you 4 VP are no longer going to be VP anymore, and because there is pain. There is pain that associated with that, and we do not want to acknowledge the pain. We don't. it is critical for leaders to probably go up there, talk about the pain. Talk, saying, hey, it is going to be painful. It's not going to be easy. Some people are moving this and this. We're not going to have that many leaders. We are going to continue, cut some layers here and there. We're going to lose some of our friends. I understand that. But as a leader, I'm here to support you. I will support you through this pain, right? We do not talk about pain and support. We talk about what, why, how, because most of the books tell us that, but we don't talk about pain. So on this one, I will probably talk about an idea about human-centric approach. So how many people's organization that you have team members who feel that AI is going to take their job? Either they have vocally spoken about it, or there is this undercurrent about like, man, AI is going to take my job. Okay? Why can't we take human-centric approach, which means make them as the part of the conversation? One way to do that is to say, hey, Sally, can you write down things that you are working on? And as a part of our plan together to get you to do the more high-value work, and the low-value work that you are doing is going to be replaced through AI, maybe we teach you, maybe we coach you through that work, maybe we get you training that you need for AI, so those low-value tasks that you just wrote down in our conversation can be given to AI by yourself, Sally, not by me, not by a management saying, oh, this kind of jobs are now going to AI. We don't need 30 people. We don't know. Make them part. Make them learn, develop skills that they can do the high-value tasks that they originally were hired for, and make them part of giving their own low-value task to AI. Okay? Same things we have practiced. I did exactly similar things, and I think we're starting to do this at MISO as well. But I did this at Republic, which was the robotics program, and we started an RPA years ago. Mike knows this. Rob, actually, you were there at Republic at that time. When we did the RPA work, there was this current under which was like, man, they're going to replace our job, like people in the operations room, right, things like that. And we made them part of the journey. You know how many people lost job at Republic because we have around 46 bots now at Republic, and how many potentially will lose at MISO? Zero. Those people are still with Republic. They're going to be still with MISO, but they will be doing the jobs they were really hired to do. So take a human-centric approach rather than saying AI is going to replace the job. Give them the safety that they need. I'm going to look at the time. Purpose, this is absolutely critical for me. A year ago, I made shift to my job because of purpose. Republic was a great company. I had the autonomy. I had the safety. The board loved me. Everything was true for me. But there was still something that was missing. I think I felt there was modernization that was needed in the airline industry. I was able to do it. But I felt there has to be some bigger mission for me. And people who don't know MISO does manages the grid for around 15 states and Manitoba province in Canada, around 45 plus million people. Electricity comes, how efficiently MISO manages the grid. They do transmission planning, and they run $40 billion markets, right? But US grid is going through a massive transformation, okay? What used to be a very systematic, deterministic problem, we need this much energy in United States, with maybe 1 to 2% increase year over year, and we have very fixed resources burn this much coal, this much fuel, this much gas, and we'll get this much energy. Very deterministic. Burn this much, get this much energy, you guys here. Is now becoming completely probabilistic. You now don't know, because data centers is resulting in growth around 30 to 40%. Electrification in our home, to industrialization coming back to America, to data center at pretty much every corner, right? There are data center that's taking energy power enough that can serve an entire city of Indianapolis at one single data center, right? We are in one of those right now. You take that, and now you go on the production side, it's completely probabilistic. It's weather-driven, solar, wind, right? There's not that much coal and not that much fuel. So you take the generation is now become probabilistic, weather-driven. You take delivery growing at 30, 40%. So that was a chance for me to say, you know what, if I can go and I can bring AI and I can bring automation and I can do those things in the US grid, believe it or not, world still looks up to America as to decide how do you want to design the grid. And what a great opportunity, right? So for me, it was the purpose that drove me to make that shift, right? I think it's critical that we focus on this. We focus on what individuals' purpose is. Talk to them about it. A lot of times, you might think about, hey, my company, I don't know if there's truly a purpose. Airline had a purpose. I think we would connect people when they need us the most, right? During the pandemic, Republic flew one individual, single individual on a plane to New York City because she wanted to say goodbye to her mom before she would leave, and that's exactly what happened. So there are mission statements that you can update for your company, your department, that can connect to people's purpose. So when you build a mission statement, think about if you make it more purpose. If you have companies that truly do not have a purpose and it's just all about making money, then you can still give them voluntarily time off so they can still align with their purposes in their life. Inclusion, critical here. You all know what it is, relatedness, relationship. Whether we believe it or not, a lot of people, they do come to work and they build relationships, right? They build relationships at work and they drive based on relationship. Whether people leave voluntarily or involuntarily, when that happens, there are people that in their circle of influence are impacted, are absolutely impacted. We have to make sure that we take care of those emotions as well. We need to tell people that we do understand that relationships or belonging or relatedness are important, and we have to be authentic about it. Tokenism is something that people just do it for the sake of it because, and I've seen a lot of things around DEI, which very much was tokenism. You just get a check mark, I've done this. I was actually one time invited to be part of a board of directors, and as a part of the interview process, I asked a question, why did you specifically pick me? And the answer was because of the way I look. And I said, thank you very much, I'm out, okay? Now they, and then they obviously try to save their face by saying this, but I'm out. Like that's not, you cannot do this. You absolutely cannot do this. That's not inclusion, that's not relationship, that's not relatedness, right? I do this a lot. People at MISO know, and Republic obviously knew, but MISO was different for MISO, so I had to explain that this is management by wandering around. Go and talk to people where they are rather than inviting in your place. You would be surprised how much you learn from them when you go to their place, okay? Open office hours, easy things, easy things, very easy things. Well, high impact. I'm rushing because of the time. Recognition, it's absolutely critical. We have to recognize. I'm going to touch on, we all know the definition, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Recognition, I'm going to give you couple of things here. Reflective recognition. What does reflective recognition means? If I'm going to give everybody a gift card, you might be okay, but it's not going to, I'm not going to be able to hit some of the things that you really, I got a $25 Amazon gift card for going and listening to Nirav for 30 minutes, right? That's it. But if I personalize that with you and I talk to you about specifically what you really appreciate, it'll go a long way. If you do a project and I tell everybody, I stand here and saying, hey, Rob did a fantastic job in this project. He worked nights and days and for 3 months. Thank you, Rob, appreciate it. I don't know if he would truly appreciate that or not. However, if I would have actually talked to Rob and said, Rob, great job on this project, one-on-one, can you tell me what is one thing you were most proud of in this project? He would not say the nights and weekends. He would probably say there was an issue I found, it was such a pain, but man, I overcome that. Now when I called him on the stage and I said, Rob, there was an issue that Rob had, and man, he killed it, and he was persistent, and he would feel great about it because I called out exactly something that he was proud of, and not the old fashion of saying give him a gift card or call him his nights and weekends. The flip is, Rob spent so much time away from his family working evenings. And you know what I do? Great job, Rob, let me take you out for dinner. You freaking took him 2 hours away from his family again? But this is what? This is the functional fixed mindset we believe in, because that's what we are. Like, that's the linear thinking. So think about that. Think about persona. It's when you have a big department, it's difficult to do it for 300 people, right? So you start creating this persona-based group. You realize that this group do not like public appreciation. This group likes gift card. This group likes to take them out for dinner. There are some people who like that, right? That's okay. You have to start creating those persona-based affinity group in your mind or on a paper, and then make sure you appreciate them that way, okay? Excellence, if you want creativity, if we are going more towards AI, if you need to build LLM models, you need creativity. You need people who are driven and motivated, are ambitious about it, okay? So, but again, this is the second part. Get out of their way, stop bureaucracy, allow them to take more risk, create more healthier team. I had somebody, and I was talking about the emerging technology earlier on. There was a developer, she's an AI developer. I moved her out into an emerging technology team. She has flourished crazy. And I went to her yesterday and I said, hey, can we get this done in 2 weeks? Oh, absolutely. And I said, can we get it done in 2 weeks? And then I'm going to give you a stretch goal. Can you even do that? And she's like, I love it. And I guarantee you in 2 weeks she's going to go for it, because that's how she's driven. She is driven for excellence. She's motivated for excellence. You got to give, so those are very small pieces. You don't want to do that somebody who's not driven by excellence, or excellence is not their top intrinsic motivation. You're going to burn them out, okay? So you got to understand them, understand your people, and then obviously all of us do gamification innovation days, right? It's very common. So in the conclusion, I'm going to say, if you focus on intrinsic motivation, You're going to have high employee engagement. You're going to have better business outcome. You want to focus on the protected values. And what is protected values? The blood donation example, right? There was a protected value that people were coming up. I'll give another example. In Switzerland, they were giving people 4 coins. The idea was, experiment is, toss the coin and then tell us how many times you got tails. Every time you got a tail, we're going to pay you money. Okay? Nobody's watching anything. You go into that room. There is no camera, nothing. There is just 4 times you will do a toss, and you will go on a machine and you will say a number between 1 to 4, which is the number of, or 0 to 4 that you got tails. Okay? And based on 4, you get the highest money. 0, you get nothing. Okay? What do you think people did? Right? 35%. The probability, I'm not a math genius, but probability of getting 4 tails in that situation in series is 6.2%. Okay? 35% people said, I got, so yeah, there are people who did that side, but focus on 65% people. When nobody was watching, 65% people did not say 4 tails, even though they were getting given money. That is their protected value. The protected value is whatever happens, whether somebody is watching or not watching, those are my ethical, moral principle that I will not sacrifice. I will not. And if we can focus on that and we can make sure we are protecting their protected value, you are going to get the most out of that. This is not a rocket science, right? What I'm asking is all of us are carrying some level of intrinsic motivation. Identify what is the key, what is the top one for each and every member of our team, and unleash it. There's a difference between productive and counterproductive motivation. Productive motivation, when we build a team, people on the same path, same motivation values, same protected values would do fantastic. Counterproductive would be, we all remember Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan or Antonio Brown, if you're a sports fan, talented people. But man, they come with baggages. They absolutely come with baggages. We can't put that. When you have a team of 3 productive, motivated, protected value motivated people and you bring 1 with a baggage, what happens? Even whatever the ratio is, 1 bad apple, right? It changes. So when you form teams, you form with the right people that have the right values. So my philosophy is aspire to do great things. And I'm going to pause and take questions or concerns, or you just have an open hour right now.